Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a video kind of going off of my last video about Bible basics and just talk about how to read the Bible. It's so hard, especially as a new Christian or someone who hasn't fully read the Bible and instead reads just verses, to learn how to properly read the Bible. And this was super hard for me for longer than I like to admit. Sometimes I almost find embarrassment in it because of the fact that it took me so long to learn how to read the Bible, but it was just like so confusing to me when I was newer to my faith, and I would take verses out of context, and that's how I knew the Bible was, just by various verses. But at school I decided to minor in Christian studies, and so I've gone through a few classes and learned how to properly read the Bible and all of the information that is really a necessity to studying the Bible and teaching the Bible. I thought that I would share that information with you. So what I learned is that it's really important when reading the Bible to look at an overview before you ever start it. So what we did in my class was we went through the Old and New Testament and went through each book and learned what each book was about. For me personally, I found that the best way to do this was by watching these YouTube videos called The Bible Project. I would go through the Bible in the order of the Hebrew canon. That was for the Old Testament, that is. If you look it up on the internet, you'll be able to find like a very easy layout of what the Hebrew canon is, but it's basically divided up between the Torah, the prophets, and then the writings. Within those sections there are subsections like former prophets and whatnot, but that's basically how it's divided. So it'll be like the first ones, which is the Torah, it'll be the law, and it'll be more of the storyline throughout the Bible, throughout the Old Testament that there is. And then when it goes to the prophets, it's about the specific prophets and how they were throughout all of the events that were going down in the Old Testament and what they were doing, what they were hearing from God. And then it goes to the writings, which is going to be like poems and those kind of books. It really helps you to organize it in your brain to know kind of like what you're reading at that time, because if you just read it all, then you're going to get kind of confused, like why is this talking about this, but then I go to the next book and it's talking about this, and now it's going back to this book and it's talking about a story that I read before, and it's a little bit more confusing. So they actually have it laid out in the Bible Project in that order when talking about the Old Testament, so you can read it like that. And then when it comes to the New Testament, I just would read it start to finish. You could break it up between like Gospels and Acts and stuff like that. Front to back is just kind of an easy way to do it for the New Testament. What I did is I would watch each video, and I watched all of the books, every single video for all of the books, so I could understand like, okay, this is the storyline, this is what's happening with each of the books, and this is the flow of how it goes. Now if you don't want to do that, because it does take a lot of time, it'll take you like 3 or 4 hours to get through all of the videos, then you could just, I recommend doing it that way, but you could just watch the video, then read the book in that order so that you know what you're about to read. But basically, like, getting an overview and hearing what the book is about makes it so much easier when you dive in and you read, because you know exactly what you should be looking for and exactly what the storyline is, so that it makes more sense when you're reading all of these like confusing words that aren't like a normal, they're not like a normal book. It doesn't sound like a normal book would because it's an older book. It'll make a lot more sense that way. I know that's like super short. I think I just did that in like 5 minutes and I haven't even edited it. Also, a good thing to remember is when you just open up the Bible and you read it, which is how I used to read the Bible. I used to open it up and say, God, give me whatever you want me to read. And then I would just open it up and point to a page and start reading there. When you read it out of context like that, you don't get all of the information that you should be getting from the Bible. It'll cause a lot more confusion and a lot more interpretation, which, yes, there is a slight amount of interpretation that you will put into reading the Bible just because of like how there's a lot of symbolism in it. However, we should be reading the Bible how it was written and taking everything literally as Christians, because that's the Word of God and that's what He wanted us to read. That's how He wanted us to interpret it, was exactly how it was written. So taking it out of context isn't necessarily the best way to do it if you're you've read through the whole Bible and you need to go back and like get a word of God and like so you flip through it and then see whatever he gives you, then that's one thing. But just straight reading the Bible like that always is just gonna cause a lot of confusion, and it's not gonna really teach you what the Bible was meant to teach you, which is the story. And it has a storyline. It is a book. It's like any other book series, except for the fact that it's a supernatural book, so obviously it's not like every other series. However, it does have a consistent storyline, and it has action, adventure, all of this stuff that any other book would have. However, it is the truth, and it is a spiritual, alive book, so it's even better than if you were to read any other book. That's how to read the Bible. That's my best advice on how to read it. Definitely don't take things out of context. Read it from start to finish so you can really understand what God's storyline was, and then dive deeper from there afterwards and do Bible studies on specific books. They have a lot of one-year Bible plans on the internet. I'm doing one right now and it's chronological. That might be helpful for you as well. I would definitely watch those videos so you can learn how the Bible was specifically laid out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love you all very much. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully I'll be doing more on this little topic of Bible basics. So yeah, I love you guys.